Black History Month, an education, celebration, and remembrance of important people and events in the history of the African diaspora. In 1926, it was originally acknowledged as Negro History Week for the second week of February. President Gerald Ford advanced the recognition to a month in 1976. But it was President Ronald Reagan who signed Proclamation 5443 on February 24, 1986, officially endorsing the month of February as Black History Month. Reagan said, "The American experience and character can never be fully grasped until the knowledge of Black history assumes its rightful place in our schools and our scholarship." When you think of Black history, what does it mean to have that quote from that man to your ears when you hear it?
When you're celebrating something, especially as Black History Month, and what it means, and I think the introduction of that and the meat and potatoes of that message is really what Black history is about. If you look at where we are right now, we've made some progress, but it's still a lot of more work to be done. It's not about us celebrating, it's us to keep educating our schools and our youth and that next generation. So this is normal to them. This is nothing that is new, and it's celebrated not just in February, it's just celebrated.
At this point in my life, I don't look at February as Black History Month. I'm Black every day. I'm Black 365 days a year, and when I come to work, I take great pride in that. I just think of so many people that kind of came before me to allow me to sit here with you three, that I don't look at it as just 28 days. I can't. My kids are biracial, and the beauty that my wife and I talk about all the time is my kids can understand the struggle and how to help the struggle. Now, that might not make sense to a lot of people, but just think about what I just said. My kids have the ability to understand the struggle and then help people with the struggle. So, to piggyback off of what Drew said, there's a lot of value in what our people bring to the table every day, and it shouldn't be lost on just sandwiching it in for 28 days. And I will say that until the Lord calls me home. It's not Black History Month. It's every day that I wake up, day, month, year, decade.
It's Black history, period. Like, for me, it's different because, like, you all get taught Black history in school. It's not taught the same back in Canada. You learn about it, but not to the extent of which you all might have learned about it. Like, we stick to just February, and they give us the happy version of it. The only way you learn the real version of it is by doing your own research. And that to me is scary, not just from like my education, but now seeing what you're seeing in schools and how governments and states and cities are taking out books that teach the real Black history.
I was gonna ask you guys your history on when did you first, in your school system, when was it first a thing? And I don't know, I mean, you're a little bit older than me. I mean, was that taught in the school system?
You know, I'm from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in the Deep South. So my perspective is a little bit different. I remember being called the N-word playing baseball at 9 years old in the Deep South. And I remember punching the kid right in his face and took the consequences afterwards. So I'm of an age where we're just kind of coming out of the civil rights movement, and here we are now. But I just remember, I'm a kid of educators. All my aunts were teachers. One of my aunts, Aunt Bobby, marched with Dr. King. So you couldn't help but get schooled on it, like early. And if you didn't, you weren't paying attention.
At the end of the day, like, Black history didn't just happen in the US. And I feel like that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that they think, oh, because it's celebrated in the US all the time, it only happened in the US. And it didn't. Like, it happened all over the world. And like for me, the earliest memory I have of anything related to Black history was middle school, and that was maybe 7th grade or 8th grade when we were talking about Dr. Martin Luther King. And I reenacted his part of his speech. I literally
we all did that. I was gonna say that's part of it, yeah.
No, I borrowed one of my dad's suit jackets, a tie, a shirt, and made myself look as close to him as possible. And if I recall correctly to that class, I might have been one of maybe 3 non-white kids in that class.
Yeah.
And yet, none of them had any clue who I was talking about.